So some of our brothers have been tried with spending the majority of their day in cafes and discuss politics, sometimes reviling Muslim lands, and they may neglect their obligations, family, work, etc. The person that indulges in this affair of staying within these maqahi, these cafes, or mata'im, the restaurants. This directly affects, and this is directly in relation to what we were discussing, social interactions, and the ills of the social interactions. And from the ills of social interactions is that the person wastes their wealth, wastes away their life, their general days of their life, wastes away their honor. So these are all things that bring about direct harm for them in the dunya. So when a person is reflecting upon the harm of the dunya, no one wants to waste money. No one wants for themselves a faqr. No one wants poverty for themselves. And when we see people from the fuqara, no doubt from us is from that which is natural, is that we have sympathy towards them, empathy towards them, which is khair and tayyib. And we have that desire to aid them as well. But what's important as well, along with that, is that we are aware that some of these individuals are from the fuqara because they indulge in certain affairs, and this faqr is self-inflicted. This poverty is self-inflicted. Likewise, you may have a person that feels haraj fi nafsihi. A person feels constricted, or maybe even feels embarrassed within his own self, because he knows that the people look at him and laugh at him, not with, at him. When he's mentioned, he's only mentioned in the context of amusement and play. He's not mentioned in relation to al-a'mal al-salihah. He's not mentioned in relation to sharf, and honor, or ird. And the person feels that within his own self. Again, this can be self-inflicted. Because when we look at how an individual interacts with the people, and specifically going back to the question, a person indulging and spending their days within the cafes and spending their days within the restaurants, spending and wasting away that time, it afflicts them in this dunya. Well, aswa min dhalik, that which is worse than that, it may afflict them in the akhirah. It may afflict them in the akhirah. Because they indulge in these affairs, and it causes them to leave off the wajibat and leave off their mas'uliyah. Leave off the affairs of their mas'uliyah, their responsibility. They have their families, their wives need for them that they aid the household by way of seeking rizq. However, a person, rather than seeking rizq, is wasting one. Their children are in need of time with their parents for tarbiyah. Their children are in need of tarbiyah, they're in need of cultivation. Their children are in need of cultivation beginning at the home. The parents, it's not sufficient that the parents say to their children, we are Muslim, alhamdulillah, khalas. And then when you get to this age, you want to go to madrasa. No, rather, the cultivation begins at the home. This is Islam, ya bunayya. This is Tawheed. This is the Sunnah. هذا الذي افترض الله علينا. This is what Allah Ta'ala has made an obligation upon us. هذه من أعمال السنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. These are the actions of the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah صلى الله عليه وسلم. That the child should be raised upon this affair of being proud to be Muslim. Raised upon the affair of having shukr lillah li hidayat al-Islam. Raised and being from those that are grateful that Allah Ta'ala has guided them to Islam and guided them to the haqq and guided them. For no doubt, there's nothing that they've done which is of their own doing. But Allah Ta'ala has facilitated for them to be born within the Muslim families. The child should be raised upon that. The child should be raised to see the benefit of that. And that comes by way of the tarbiyah beginning within the home. And that tarbiyah can only occur when the fathers and the mothers are spending time with their children, informing them of the khair for them. So when the people, going back again to the question, when the people are overindulging in affairs or overindulging in the cafes and the mat'am in the restaurants, then you find that they end up neglecting their responsibilities. And now this is an obligation upon them. So they are neglecting the obligations upon them. Likewise. The second part of the question is discussing the things that they end up doing within this, where they discuss the politics. They indulge in the siyasa, discussing siyasa, and discussing the affairs of the umara and other than that. With this, we understand the hadith of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, where he mentions, "Man minkum yara munkaran falyughayyirhu bil yadi, fa in lam yastati' fa bi lisanihi, fa in lam yastati' fa bi qalbi, fa hadha ad'af al iman." That whoever from you sees an evil, then let him change it with his hand. If he's not able, then with his tongue, and if he's not able, then let him hate it within his heart. This affair of istita'a can sometimes relate to a person and their makana fil mujtama', the position that they hold within society, and the mansab, the position that they hold amongst the people. So when we have individuals and they just indulge in the speech of politics within the makahi, for example, you're in a cafe in Great Britain and you're discussing the affair of the politics in another land, and you do not have any authority to change this affair. Rather, this is idle speech. Irrespective of whether what you are discussing is in relation to the affair of the people speaking the truth, or irrespective of what you're discussing is in relation to what you see in politics of mukhalafat. You're only speaking that which you can change and that which you can have effect upon. The Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam mentions, "Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawm al-akhir falyaqul khayran liyasmut." Whoever believes in Allah and the last day, then let them speak good or remain silent. I speak good, speaking about the things that you can change. If you see from your brother something that you can change from him, speak to him, advise him. If you see from your children, go back to our atfal, those that will come after us. If you see from them affairs that need to be changed, speak to them, advise them. But then when it comes to this affair of rulers and politics, where we have no effect whatsoever, then it should be left. And left to those that have that quwwah, or have that mansab, that position to change that. And what we do have is the ability to make dua for them, supplicate for them, Ask Allah tabarak wa ta'ala to make them upright. If Allah ta'ala makes them upright, the mujtama' becomes upright. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. That society becomes upright. If that society becomes upright, the general Muslims as a whole become upright. But that cannot occur except if the people are taking the correct means. People are taking the correct means. Are not seeking revolution and the like of that. For indeed, this is not in accordance with the Sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and rather we have seen from the evils of what happens when people seek this path of revolution and other than that. And likewise as well when it comes to this affair of the politics, the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he mentions min husn al-Islam al-mar tarku ma la yani. Yani from the good of a person's Islam is tarku ma la ya'nihi. Yani leaving off that which does not concern him. You may be unhappy about an affair. فَعَلَيْكَ وَعَلَيْنَا بِالصَّبْرِ. Upon us is بالصبر. Upon us is patience. And this is something which is on a larger scale, even on a smaller scale. If you see something from your brother, for example, you're not happy with, upon you is to seek to rectify that with him. ولا تقول الثالث, another individual, يعني فعل فلان فلان كذا كذا. يعني so and so did this and I'm not happy with it. This third individual, ما عنده دخل فيه, يعني he doesn't have anything to do with that affair. Rather rectify it with him there and then. Leave off that which does not concern you. And Allah tabarak wa ta'ala knows best.